So for today's video, we're going to be traveling back to August of 2022, and this throwback was actually inspired by a DM that I received a couple of days ago that low-key got me emotional, but also was a very good reminder, I think, for me as to why I started doing the things that I do online. And so I'm going to read you her DM before we get into our story time, because I just think it's a really cute way to start the video. So let's go. So she says, "Hi Barbara, I just wanted to shoot you a DM and give you a proper thank you. You were hit girl back in 2018 when I was just in grade 8. I was new to the whole public school thing. I was shy, unsure, and very insecure of myself. But I feel like I owe a lot of my confidence and strength to you. And I wanted to show you gratitude now that I have matriculated. I will never forget the morning assemblies we were forced to sit through on the uncomfortable pavement of the quad. And at the time, I couldn't even stand the thought of sitting in the sun so early in the morning. But thinking back now, I can definitely say it was all worth it. I may not remember much from those assemblies, but I will never forget how you strived to empower us and motivate us, and you continue to do so for many others to this day. I owe thanks to you for always being so kind and for showing me that reaching out and making new friends is so easy. You are part of why I am the way I am today. I owe you endless thanks, and I wish you nothing but the best." And then she signed it off with her name and a cute heart emoji at the end. And obviously I expressed my gratitude as well, because I definitely do remember her, and I remember the engagements that we had back in high school. But I think more than anything, this DM was a very good and powerful reminder for me as to why I do the work that I do, and why it's important that I continue to share my story in the form of Becoming Barbara and all the other content that I make here on the internet. And so today I'm going to take you with me as I journey back to my old high school for Women's Month. Barbara. The other day I was just sitting at home, minding my own business, and I got a call from one of my favorite teachers from high school, and also my first team netball coach, Coach Joe. And she had reached out to let me know how she often heard the students in the corridors speaking about me and all the content that I'm making online, and how just unbelievable it was for them that I had gone to the exact same school. And so she thought it'd be a really cool idea that I come back to the school for Women's Month to chat to the girls around some of the core values that we have at the school and what we believe for each and every student that walks through those gates. And obviously I said yes, because I was like, absolutely, I'm here for the kids. That's what I look for. But I think going back to the school, it really was such an emotional time for me, because I got to relive so many of my childhood experiences and catch up with some of my favorite people in the whole world who contributed and shaped the person that I am today. And so one of the very first people that I met when I got onto the school grounds was our groundsman and designated driver, Mr. Boyson.
I'm still the same person.
Oh, that's nice. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Now, if you went to my high school, you know that Boyson was one of the coolest guys in the world, and he basically was like our school shuttle driver, if I can put it like that. So our school had like a minibus that the first team of every sports team would travel in, or when there were special events that students needed to be transported to, it would be in that minibus. And that minibus was always driven by Mr. Boyson, or Ntate Boyson as I like to call him. And it was such a treat getting to catch up with him, and he told me how he's so proud of me and he can't wait to see how much further I'm gonna go in life. And so we took a couple of pictures, because he literally was like, I need to get a picture with you so that when you're famous one day, I can prove to people that I was a part of your life. And so that was really special for me, bumping into him again. And the office ladies were still there. Some of my favorite teachers, like my English teacher from like grade 10 through 11. And this teacher was very special, guys. Let me tell you why this teacher was special. He was special and low-key my favorite, because he watched all the seasons of Being Bonang. So when I saw him, he literally, the first thing that he says to me is like, "Oh, Barb, so good to see you again. Are you Bonang yet?" And we laughed, and it was just like a really cute, moment of like catching up with one another and just like catching up with each other because it's been a while. And I think it's so awkward. Like when you leave high school, you don't really stay in contact with your teachers, regardless of how cool your relationship was. Because I think for me, it's like still an awkward thing that I'm trying to navigate. Like, do I now call you by your name? Because every time I call you ma'am, you're like, no, don't call me ma'am. But to me, you are ma'am and you'll always be ma'am. By the way, big shout out to Mbali who accompanied me on this day because she literally took videos of me throughout.
Got passion for life, that I'd like to see. And I still see that sparkle, so I think you are blessed with that. Possibly your good friend too. She's also smiling. Look at her.
And I think it was so cute because I was walking my friend through the journey of my schooling career. And so you could still see my name up on the head girl board. You can still see my robotics jersey hanged in the admin office. And I think just the amount of pride and gratitude that was expressed from both sides between myself and the staff at the school was really, really special. And I was so glad that Mbali was there to be able to capture all these special moments on camera. Anyway, child, after the little office tour, greeting all of the different staff members, catching up with my headmaster, who I absolutely adored, and to my surprise, still to this day, speaks to the students about making a maximum positive impact. We then made our way to the quad, where now I wasn't just addressing the girls for Women's Day, but I also had to address the boys as well, because the boys also want to be a part of this. And I think it's so special because the journey that I've walked with these particular students had been so long.
I saw you on Instagram one day. I'm like, that's my hit girl.
My grade 8s back when I was in matric were now matric students. And some of the kids that I served as head girl in my primary school years were also now, grade 8s and grade 9s and grade 10s. And so when I'm looking out into the crowd, I'm seeing some of the faces. And the last time I saw this face was when she was in grade 3. And it was time for me to now go chat to the students about what I actually came here to celebrate with them, which was Women's Month.
Where 20,000 odd women walk up to, I think it was the union buildings or something. Y'all do hello, not me. Right? They walk up to the union buildings and it's like, we want our right to vote. We want our right to be equal to men and all these things. And we're not going to get into the politics of that. But I want you to think about the boldness of those women to step into rooms that they were previously told they were not allowed to be in and demand their seat at the table.
And now obviously there are boys in the crowd and there are girls in the crowd. So I didn't necessarily want to alienate the boys by just sitting there and speaking about, this is what it means to be a woman and Womanda.
And there's a story of Moses. How many of you know Moses? No, but, you know Moses? He was the guy with the stick, right? And he beat the sea. The parallel between Moses and those women is that they had the audacity to step into rooms where they were literally not allowed to be in. And there are two things about Moses that I realized. And the first thing is that God uses what was already in Moses' hands for him to accomplish what he set him out to do.
And so what I decided to do was to take the story of Women's Month and use that as inspiration for what I had set out to chat to them about, which was confidence and believing in your dreams and standing firm in your convictions, regardless of what the status quo is and what the standards set for you and people who look like you and come from communities like you are. That cap does not exist, and the only cap that exists on your life and your potential is the cap that you place on yourself and the degree to which you are willing to imagine the greatness that your life can become.
And the second thing is Moses has a stutter. I don't know if any of you know that. He was actually a stuttering boy. So for him to then go stand in front of a king, for him to lead a nation as someone with a stutter is mad because people were making fun of him. But it's the thing that people make fun of you about that sets you up to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish.
Yes.
And so if I give you examples, there's so many different people that you see on TV today, so many people in magazines, and you guys wouldn't know because you weren't there, but I think the matrics would know, that started out in Eitzig, that started out here. And a lot of the things that they are famous for now are things that people used to make fun of them.
Even in that conversation, I didn't want for them to have this idea that, okay, we know Barbara, because for a lot of them, the matric students at the time were my grade 8s, and so I led them as their head girl back in 2018. But in 2013, I was the head girl at the primary school, which meant that for a lot of the kids, I think probably from grade 8, they would have remembered me, if they can even remember back to their grade 3 year and grade 4 year and grade 5 year. But they would have remembered me again as the top achieving, always perfect, trophy collecting Barbara. It is so important for young people never to see the people that they look up to or the people that they admire as perfect beings who have never failed and have this straight path from point A to B to C, but to show the realities and the ups and the downs and the nooks and crannies of your journey, because that gives them the permission.
In like 2019, I was studying engineering. I was going to go be a mechanical engineer. It was going to be fabulous. But people started dying and COVID came, and I was like, imagine dying, becoming something that everyone else but yourself wants you to become.
That gives them the permission to stand up and try again and take their failures and take their rejections as redirections and learning curves instead of, I guess I'll never amount to anything. So in a very chilled, funny, storytelling way, I told them everything that I wish someone would have told the 18-year-old people-pleasing me on confidence in yourself and your abilities, leadership and self-leadership, but most importantly, believing in your dreams wholeheartedly and being willing to stand firm in that, regardless of what the cap society has placed on you looks like.
First of all, find out what is already in your hand. What are you good at? What is the thing that people are trying to ridicule you for? Because most of the time, that's the thing that sets you apart, and that's what scares them about you, and that's why they want to make you feel small for that thing. And for me, it was taking videos. I literally have a video of Yeshua Barnard. There was a day the teachers were having like debonaires in the staff room, right? And so Miss Barnard comes to class, and she's got this box of debonaires, and she was literally walking around the class like, yeah, I'm eating debonaires. What are you guys eating? And we're all sitting there because we're hungry, and it's almost being like, ma'am, why are you doing this to us? But these are things I have so many different videos, and I didn't think that one day that's how I'm going to be living my life, being a video girl who just makes videos of everything. But it started a long time ago. So there are things in your hand, like Moses had that stick in your hand, that you already have that you're overlooking, that really are your superpower. So that's number one. Find your superpower. The second thing is to follow girls and guys who are doing what you want to do and who look like you on social media. So issues like body positivity, body image, all those stuff comes from a place of trying to compare yourself to somebody who looks nothing like you. I mean, if I had to compare myself to Nicki Minaj, I feel so sad because my palms are not. You understand what I'm saying? But if I follow like yours, so it's easier for me to feel confident because I can see someone who looks like me walking out a life of confidence.
And so the conversation was very engaging and very conversational in style, because I know, especially as a high school student, we always have so many different speakers that come and give us lectures on all these different topics, like you can be anything you want to be, you can, reach for the moon, reach for the stars. But do people actually see us? Do people actually know the communities that we come from? Do people actually know the things that sometimes teachers even say to you that cause you to have a very small view of yourself and what you're capable of achieving?
Take a look at your teachers, and I know teachers can be some really annoying people, but if you take the time to get to know your teachers, you'll realize that teachers are real people with real emotions that actually want to see you succeed. And for me, getting to where I am today, I wouldn't be the person that I am, and I wouldn't have accomplished half the things that I did without my teachers. And so even for the teachers, I just respectfully want to address you and say, right, is to pay attention to the things that you say to kids, because a lot of the times we internalize these things, and those are the things that we carry into our adulthood. But a couple of years later, when I got to a place of realization and I decided to follow my dreams, what happened was I was working with brands that I never thought I would work with. Literally, they just fell from the sky. Most people here want to work with brands, don't they? No?
Yes.
Exactly. Right? And the first brand that reached out to me was like your MTN, and then came Nivea, and they wanted me to do a conversation on confidence, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, all of this is literally so wild, but it comes from the words and the relationships that I built with my teachers that carried me up until where I'm at.
And I think for me, it was important to share from my perspective as someone who's been in their shoes, who's been in that school. When I leave there, if they don't remember anything that I say, they must remember that the school that they're in is perfect. Where they are at right now and the amount of resources that they have, even as a public school child, even if your parents are not paying school fees because of whatever situation, whatever community you may come from, all of that you have is all that you need to be successful.
The truth of the matter is, this school is the perfect breeding ground for greatness. And I can give you a long list of names of many great people that come from the school, but don't ever let anyone in other schools, like your Sutherland, your Curious, whatever school they go to, look down on you because of the school that you are at. This doesn't determine how far you can go, and this doesn't determine your worth as a person. What determines your worth is the decisions that you make. Whether or not you choose to sleep in Afrikaans, that's what's going to determine whether you make it in life later on or not. And
I tried also to tell a story that was beyond myself, to remind them of all the other great students that had come from the exact same ground and soil that they were sitting on, to remind them that some of the biggest names in South Africa's entertainment industry come from this school. The people that you see on Mr. Price ads, the biggest TikTokers and influencers come from this very school. And while yes, that might be in a creative field, we've also produced a lot of doctors, we've produced engineers, we've produced some of the greatest minds that the world has to offer. And so nothing stops them from becoming that except themselves and the things that they allow themselves to believe of themselves. And I think it was so cool that Ms. Grobler had also organized a meet and greet afterwards, because it really gave me an opportunity to speak into the individual stories of the girls and the guys that were in that school.
You're my tricks. I cannot come with my tricks. I know. I think you're my good head. You're so old. Now I feel old because you are old. And you know what? You see?
And I spent the whole break, the rest of the day, the rest of the break with the kids, just kind of chatting to them, catching up with my grade 8 who are now matrics and stuff.
Yeah. Like when I saw you on Instagram one day, I'm like, that's my hit girl.
Which Reggie?
Reggie.
Mashabi was in the school.
No, he was in 8th.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So I'm like, I see him across the room, like Reggie. So we both start screaming at each other and panicking.
Are you still looking from Jolo?
You were in grade 2 and I was in grade 1.
And then people around us are like, how do you guys even know each other?
She's not answering my question. My question.
He's very young.
Are you not looking from Jolo? Why is he not answering?
Yes, many years ago.
No, but why is he not?
Mind blown, like, what? How is this even possible? But it's so crazy because in the spaces that we're in, like we're sitting with Basizwe and all these people, but like, really? Yes.
Cheers to us.
But like with them, we're sitting with ourselves. Like it's like I've been with you. You know, like, I'm gonna start my channel. Also,
But then let me know also, DM me when you get it so I can check it out.
okay, I'll say you too.
Give you a hug.
Answering burning questions that they've always had, but they were scared to ask adults, because it's like, how do I tell my mom this is how I feel about the career path that she's encouraging me to go down? How do I speak to my mom about, pursuing a career in the arts instead of in STEM? So how can I marry the two things? And I think for me, it was such a great reminder that everything that I've gone through in my life wasn't for vibes. Like, it definitely was for a reason, because I finally found myself in a position where I was equipped to speak to the STEM side of things, but I was equally as equipped to speak to the creative side of things, because I've excelled in both atmospheres. And so I think the day was really special, and even coming home to read their messages and their DMs and to see just how much that conversation and me taking the time out to see each student individually meant for them. And so that's my little story on Women's Day. There's actually a DM that I'd love to read for you. I posted on my Instagram the day that I had seen them, and I don't have the full DM. Maybe I'll look for it and find it. If I find it, I'll put it here. But for now, I have a paragraph of that DM. And it said, "You inspired me a lot from what you were saying on Friday. majority of the things that you spoke about were things that I had experienced. And having seen you as a living testimony, you gave me hope when I felt like everything was over. Thank you so much. And again, I really want to reiterate that this is exactly why when I read that portion in the book where Mrs. Michelle Obama was saying it's important that you show kids your failures, because if they look up to you and all they ever see is the perfect side of who you are, the put together, poised, and never fail anything, never get rejected from a job, never get shut down when you present ideas, if that's all they ever see of you, the amount of pressure that it places on them to succeed it's crazy and it's unrealistic, because the truth is, at the end of the day, whether you're the first Black First Lady of the United States or America, or you're just a girl who comes from a work school in Centurion, all of us are going to experience failures. All of us are going to experience rejection. But the only difference in who makes it and who doesn't is how you choose to navigate that failure and how you choose to navigate that rejection. So yeah, overall, I'd say it was a very special way for me to spend Women's Day. And also, low-key, my very first speaking engagement ever since I became a YouTuber, like live public speaking engagement in a long time. So it was very exciting to see. I've actually got a couple more lined up for March, which is exciting. And I think the more that I've grown into being confident in my story and owning every single part of it, the failures and the good parts, I found that it sets so many people free, and it actually goes really deep, and it goes way back to grade 2. I used to tell stories after school. I literally had my own show. It was called Tokoloshi Stories, and yeah, it's a story for another day, but I think I really am getting to a point where my life's purpose and the work that I believe God has put me on the earth to do is becoming a lot more evident every single time I step out of my comfort zone. And so, beyond this video being fun to watch, I hope you did enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, which is awkward now because we're at the end of the video, but if you didn't enjoy the video, I hope what it does for you, at the very least, is show you the power of a single story and the power of sharing your story and the impact that it can have beyond you and beyond what you sometimes can realize. I think sometimes we tend to undervalue and play and underplay and play and underplay, play off, play, English, who knows? It's really late at night, guys. My English bundles are just going down, but we undervalue and underestimate the power that lies in our stories. So I say this all the time. I feel like I'm preaching on this, but I feel like a mom, and that's how I feel. I feel like a mom who just keeps repeating herself over and over and over again. But it's because I believe so much in the things that I say that it's all I ever want to talk about all the time, everywhere, in every conversation. So, hey, Sana, do with this information what you will, because
yeah.